Hey, Kevin, you there? Can you guys try talking? And can you hear me? And is there a lot of lag?
Good, you can hear me. Sorry, I thought my mic was on mute. I can't hear you guys.
Hey. No, nobody can hear me?
I think I can hear something now. Somebody say something.
I can hear you, Brian.
Okay.
I haven't heard anybody else yet.
I heard some clicking and I thought maybe it was a delay, but I can hear you now. I had to change my audio device at the top in Hangouts for it to work under settings.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes. Now we can
Oh,
hear you.
cool. Neat. That's wonderful. All right, great. We did it. Great. Nice. Thank you so much for setting this up. I love getting to be on stream without doing any work.
Yeah, this will be the first time I've ever done anything live. I recorded with Dan a couple of times, but
Yeah, I think I've seen them. I think I've seen. What decks were you on?
we did one with Argus, one with Geist, and then there was one, I think, I don't remember. There was another one. I think I've been on 3 times.
Nice, nice. I know he is always, he was very excited to be paired up against you because he respects you quite a lot.
Maybe a little bit less now.
Oh man, I am on Obokata Protocol as well, and I feel like every time I win a game, I have to apologize.
Yeah, it's rough. I had a server the other day that was 2 Kukugos with a data loop over them, and then a Ben in the remote, and I just like shoved an Obokata, and it's like, if you can get this, good game.
Yeah, I'm on MedTech, so like I just need to score Obokata Protocols.
Yeah, you can almost just motion that onto. Oh no, you can't. You can motion first, then put the Ben down. That would work.
Well, I'm just doing the like build a server, put it in there. But yeah, like you could just motion and put a Ben Musashi on it. Like, do you have 6 cards? Like if they got hit by a, I'm not very net damagey. So like, I mean, besides the like, look, it's 3 cards to get into the server and 2 from Ben Musashi and 4 from the agenda. Like I'm not trying to like psychic field people or whatever. Though I could, right? That's honor and profit.
Yeah, I had 2 in my deck. I put them in largely for the Anarch decks that I figured would be all tag me stuff, and it just happened to really work out well that game. But honestly, if you just check every remote thing would work if it wasn't for that and Shikyu, and now Breach Dome is out, so that whole plan is out the window. But I put it in there strictly because it's the only thing to punish people checking every single remote, because otherwise you just land on synth DNA and they just trash all your synths, and then you're sad.
Right. I'm on Shikyu's just because it's hilarious in MedTech. Because you know I don't have GFI or whatever.
Yeah, it sucks that you have to pay so much for it. In Potential Unleashed, you just have to pay $1. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So cheap.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see.
So am I going to join the game as a spectator to see this, or are we?
Yes. Yeah. So I think we're both going to join the game as spectators, and it looks like Doug is on. So anytime Doug wants to,
can you hear me all right?
What's up?
I said, can you hear me all right? And it sounds like yes, you can. Awesome. So I think, I mean, we were just going to take our headphones off, and you guys can chat away.
Sounds good.
And then between games, me and Kevin can pop in and we can talk about it.
Oh, that sounds really fun. Yeah. That sounds super fun.
Cool. So, I mean, I can't think of a better way to do this other than having you just see my screen. It would be cool if we could stream both hands, but that's a little...
Oh, well, I figured we just jump on Jinteki. If you make the hands visible to all players, then yeah.
So in my game with Dan, the viewers couldn't see my hand, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right.
I was rewatching the stream and I didn't see my hand.
Oh, of course. That's interesting. So we can even tell.
His account, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to be a third party to see them.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, what can you do? I guess at some point I should figure out how streaming works.
You sure do a lot of it for somebody that doesn't actually stream.
Yeah, I know. It's a good deal. I guess ask other people to do the work if you can't do the work yourself. No, I mean, so the biggest reason I don't stream is that I have no faith in my computer to handle anything but what it's doing right now. This should be fun. I guess we can go plug it on. So what is do you have the link for where we're gonna be that you can tell people about?
Yeah. Let me
Cool.
Let me try to make that happen, I should say.
Even, why not just dump it in the internet subreddit, the Netrunner subreddit, and say, hey, come watch our game at 9.
So rather than try to make a second, or actually join the first one I created, I'm just going to update the test.
Okay. Now, is this called Potato Cast because one of you is on Potential Unleashed, or is it just a good name?
Oh, I call myself Internet Potato, but
of course,
yeah,
of course.
Right. So I picked that name before I learned that it was like slang for like a shitty player.
Oh, is it really?
So is
that why it's called Potato?
That was how Ben Mason told it to me, because we were hanging out and I was like, oh yeah, I'm on Genteki at Internet Potato. And he was like, what? Why did you give yourself that name?
What? Oh wow. What new information?
Yeah.
I guess like it's okay to have a name that's self-deprecating even if you weren't intending it. Like that's not a bad name. Like internet's like if my name was like Loser Scrub, like that'd be fine, right? Like that either I crush people and it's extra funny, or I don't and I crush them and it's embarrassing for them, but not for me. Yeah, it's not like you found out that it was like secret like white power symbolism.
Oh man, that would be the worst.
I mean, that happens to people.
And Argenio did that once. He named a deck Batty Boys, which apparently is like basically slang in Jamaica for gay guys or something.
It's not so bad.
I was like, oh, I gotta rename that deck.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Track record. He went on that podcast with like the white supremacist guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's not doesn't bat very well on this stuff.
Well, I think it seems like he's like a boisterous person who says a lot of things, so like that can happen. I guess I say a lot of things. I'm due for like some accidental embarrassment. Maybe it'll be on this very stream.
Yeah, you have to watch the show. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I don't know how much trouble I can get into. I was looking up the floor rules about intervening on games like I did in your game, Zero, and I'm still not sure whether what I did was correct.
After
I think the biggest issue
that much, then you probably can't.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I don't think it mattered. He was over at that point. I think that's true. Come back.
Yeah, I am heartened by the fact that it probably didn't matter. But so I guess
he wanted to not undo it. I was fine with that. It was kind of up to him how he wanted to deal with it, because I was in such a strong position. What am I going to do? Be like, no, we got to put that agenda back in the deck.
Yeah, that's true. Fun. Cool. Yeah, I think the biggest thing. So there's like a few things with like that I wasn't able to answer with the floor rules. One I certainly am not able to answer is like, what is my role? Like I'm commentating. That's not a role defined in the like tournament structure. Like, am I just a spectator? Like probably. And then certainly I don't intervene. Like spectators should not do that. But am I a judge?
If John was the judge, then you could have called him down and like, tell us to wait and say, hey, John, we need you to come in and make a ruling. I'm sure he would have been fine with that. But again, you have to know that he's there.
Yeah, that probably would have been the slickest thing to do.
John's actually from my meta. He drives up an hour from southern middle Indiana to come up and play with me.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Cool. All right, I think I'm going to grab some water.
Yeah, sounds good.
How are you feeling? Yeah. I figured you wanted to tap water with ice, right? Rather than the water from the fridge. I'm back. Nice, got all the plugs in there.
I'm going to be eating string cheese in your ear, so deal with it.
Oh, nice. You deserve it. There's no banned substances in Netrunner, so you're allowed to eat anything you want.
I would take string cheese over stim any day.
I wonder if the Wisconsin meta calls themselves like Cheese Hack. They could.
That's where Spags is from. So him, Paranoid, and Aaron, they're
yeah.
They should.
I'll have to ask them what their meta name is.
They're what is they call themselves some really like weird obscure acronym. I don't remember.
Do you have a meta name for your meta?
We don't really have a meta so much. We had for several years it was 2 people, me and one other guy, and then we recruited up to 3 or 4, and then suddenly we had a boom to like 7 people about 6 months ago when John started coming, and then now it's kind of fallen off to like 3 people, which is the worst number to have because somebody has to be sitting there waiting. And now it's down to like 2. So we're gonna reschedule, pick a different night, and hopefully we can get 3 or 4 people coming back out.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Do I have Jinteki open? I do. Nice. So I guess, yeah, we'll just be mindful that the audience, that we can see both the hands, but the audience can only see one.
Well, are we signed in as either the player that's going to be in the game?
What's that?
Are we signed in as either people who are going to be in the game? Like, are we watching is the browser signed in with either of the people playing? It shouldn't be, right?
No, it isn't. So on the Google Hangouts, yeah. So on the stream, it is just going to be showing Doug's hand. But we'll.
Why don't we use this? Why don't we stream from either your screen or my screen?
Oh, can we do that?
I don't know. I don't know how Google Hangouts works. I would imagine.
Yeah.
It would have to be tied to the account. So whoever is hosting the stream would have to change the feed, maybe. I don't know how all that's set up. That's
I guess we could ask Doug if that's possible. Is Doug? Oh yeah.
I mean, even if he changes his password to something that you could sign into, maybe you could sign into the stream and host it yourself or something like that.
That's true. It would certainly be understandable if he wasn't comfortable with that.
Yeah. It's just an option. I know people don't want to turn over their password, but you could change it to like ABC123 for the purposes of the stream or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can look into that. I'll send him a message just asking.
Twitch or YouTube?
It's gonna be on YouTube. There's a link.
That's gonna make it tough.
What's that?
That'll make it tough then because I think YouTube.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
The account.
Right, you're right. Because we wouldn't be able to. Yeah, so I think just on commentary we can just like tell people like, yeah, we know you can't see. I think that was actually.
Read them.
Yeah, we can just tell them what the situation is like. Yeah. Yeah.
I should be eating on the stream. That wouldn't get annoying quick.
No, you should be, because then I can be the face and you can be the heel.
Good runner, bad runner.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dang. I didn't realize that they're both undefeated. That's very impressive.
Oh, the two were streaming tonight are undefeated?
Yeah. That's intimidating.
Who's he playing?
Kevin Tame?
Okay.
Yeah.
I played Internet Potato last time. I didn't play Kevin, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Did you play Internet Potato on stream or not?
I did not.
Yeah, I forget. So I think Doug is on a pretty scary looking AgInfusion deck. And what is his runner? Can't remember. Oh, of course. He's on 63 card Maxx.
I didn't know the 63 card Maxx was a deck.
Well, it's the only way to go because you don't have Levy.
The hell you don't have it? Oh yeah, I guess you can't play the 2 boxes.
Yeah, because you can't.
I was gonna say you could take it, but no.
Yeah,
actually, my first round opponent did that. He took Ken Tenma and creation and control, and then we played the entire game and then didn't even realize it.
Oh no!
He wanted feedback filter, and he had it, and he still lost.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, feedback filter doesn't do a lot against Ben Musashi, and
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
So how are we going to do this, Doug? I guess I'm just going to like turn off my audio and play.
Yeah. If you have headphones on, you could just take those off. That'd probably be the easiest. If you don't, just mute stuff so you can't hear them. And then once in between games, you can, if the two of you just want to pop back on, and we can talk to you about how the game went.
Cool.
While you're, that seems really good. Should be a pretty good show.
Cool. I'll head out then.
All right, cool. I mean, you can be in here right now, like while we're just chatting. Hey, welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, cool. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Also, like, I think the dynamic of like us two on commentary and then like in between games, like we chat with you guys, sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, I should find the YouTube thing so I can look at the comments too.
Okay.
And mute that or it'll be madness. Ooh, we have 5 people watching. That's incredible.
Ooh.
Oh, I guess we're live now, so we can just say stuff. Cool.
Good.
Oh,
Live mic, everybody.
Hey,
Who do
guys.
you want to badmouth?
So how about
well,
that
I wasn't saying
Sunday?
what I was saying 5 minutes ago. Holy crap!
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what I said. I don't think I said anything. I don't think I said anything that I need to be concerned about, but I don't know that for sure.
So this is going to get dumped to a VOD, I would imagine. Are we
What's
just
that?
going to go live only? Are we going to go live only, or is it going to dump to a VOD?
I guess I don't know what you mean dump to a VOD.
I think that YouTube records it.
Okay.
For
It's going to be available
and
after the broadcast. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you need to watch tape of yourself afterwards, otherwise, how are you going to get better? So
I got halfway
useful.
through me and Dan's game before joining this,
Yeah.
just to see what you guys were saying about it.
Yeah. Hopefully, I didn't say anything too blatantly wrong. I think in the last time I was actually commentating on Doug's game last round, and it had to be pointed out to me that I think Kevin pointed out to me that Doug's deck had 63 cards. I was just like, I didn't notice the coolest thing about it.
It's like saying that a 3-legged dog is cute, you know, like it's cool, but
Yeah,
it's, you know.
yeah. I mean,
the thought process. You get the 64 cards, and you're like, all right, what do I cut?
but also you're a 3-legged dog at worst is going to finish 3-2 this tournament, and that's amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, Sanjay, if you can share your screen, then that would be better.
Yeah, I don't know how that.
Let me create a game. Oop. Sure, whatever.
How does that work?
So
How is his feed going to go to your YouTube?
So I think that in the Hangout, anyone can share their screen. So instead of Sanjay, you sharing the video, your video.
All right, let's see.
I don't know where
your account's tied to your account's the one that's tied to the YouTube, though, right?
Yeah, but I think it's just sharing the entire Hangout.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're sharing
I'm
by
looking
app. Okay, makes sense.
I'm looking at settings, and the only option I see is integrated webcam, which I don't know if, as far as things to share.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
We still see your webcam right now.
What about now?
Whoa.
We got the Hall of Mirrors now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me look at something besides the chat.
Yeah, that looks good. Let's check that.
Close all sensitive data, please.
Yeah, so maybe it makes sense for me not to look at the chat, just so that I'm looking at things big as possible.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do I have anything embarrassing on my desktop here? Doesn't look like
Just
it.
the background.
No, the background's great. This is Oscar the Grouch and Janelle Monae, who are the two greatest entertainers in America.
How do you review that? I don't even know.
Yeah, you can't. Also, Janelle Monae has like an amazing like cyberpunk aesthetic, and I can't wait for her to be more heavily referenced in Android Netrunner because it's due. Yeah. Oh, I got some like nice pictures from my wedding. That's fun.
Nice. All right, and if you hop onto competitive, there should be a game up.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this big as possible. So, are you able to
F10 or F11 will make it actually go full screen, I'm pretty sure.
Are you able to look at the comments on YouTube, Zero?
Yeah, I gotta get a stream link. Hang on.
Cool.
Where's the stream link?
Yeah, I love y'all in the comments, though. I would also say that it is not absolutely critical that we respond to your comments immediately. But it'd be nice because
I got them up.
Yeah, is it a problem that I am here twice?
No, it's probably fine
in the stream. Probably fine.
Yeah. Cool.
That way I can intervene double. All right, cool.
Sweet. Well, in that case, I think we're good to go.
All right, I'm excited.
Cool. Well, let's kick this thing off. Edo, Doug Carlson, and I'm playing against Kevin Tame, who is Kevin Tame. We're both from the Baltimore, DC area, and we play a lot in person, so this should be a good game. I know that Kevin is really strong, and we're both undefeated, so this should be fun. And we've got
know each other's deck.
Yeah, sort of. We've definitely bounced ideas off of each other when we were building decks for this league. So I know what an earlier iteration of his deck was and decks are, and he knows early iterations of my decks. So we'll see. I didn't really. Well, I won't tip any hands.
I wasn't going to ask that question that you were about to say, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so really appreciate it, Sanjay and Brian, 0 Hour, for commentating on this, and hopefully we can give you a good show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
all right.
I want to see.
So I'm gonna take my headset off now and not look at YouTube, and you guys can do your thing, and we'll chime in at the end of the game to see how it went.
All right, cool. Sounds great. I'm excited.
Good luck.
See you on the other side of the stream.
Oh yeah, good luck. So I'm excited to find out what Kevin is up to. He is up to smoke, it looks like.
Smoke stealth, okay.
Oh, that's
seems
cool.
Pretty good. I'm going to be strong against AgInfusion, I think. The tax is just not going to add up, probably.
Yeah, that's probably true. This is an interesting hand. I'm wondering whether Doug is going to keep it because, to be honest, I don't really know what you do against smoke. Yeah.
I think you got to have a little bit of econ to get started.
Yeah, you could try scoring out that Nisei behind the Kamainu would be probably the best thing to do with this hand, but that's probably just
if you get your bluff called though, and you want to thump them with the Kamainu, you're going to be set back all of your money, and you're going to be way behind. So I definitely mulligan here.
Yeah. So it looks like I'm actually getting some weird stuff from being in the stream twice. I'm going to. Because it looks like we're seeing everything double. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
All right, never mind then.
Well, yeah, in the chat feed, yes,
but not in the cards. He just drew a bunch of doubles.
No, you're right. He I-staged you and installed a remote. So
yeah, let me
I think you can part game and come back, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. So I guess me joining twice was a problem. That's interesting.
Hopefully it'll catch up when you join it. Yeah. I don't know if you have to like close your browser and
I think I will close my browser and come back in.
Don't use the Hangout though.
Yeah, if you don't mind just letting them know what the deal is.
Yeah, and for those streaming, I think those people in the chat can see it, but Sanjay's got double of everything because he's in the game twice. So he's gonna leave and come right back.
Yeah, and yeah, cool.
In the game too.
Cool. All right.
It looks like you are now
only
still
in the game
twice.
Once now. Am I?
I see twice.
Well, I guess let's. That's weird.
Well, we can just see how it progresses if you want to.
Okay. Yeah.
Just write
yeah.
it
Sounds
down.
good. Yeah. Let's. All right. Technical issues. Not even related to anything Doug, who set this up, has done. This is not his fault.
Weirdness.
Yeah, that was a very interesting bug too.
It may still happen if you're in twice.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'm not seeing the chat twice now, so that's reassuring.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So let's take a look at Kevin's hand here. I think it it looks like he's going to have a lot of stuff he doesn't want to lose, so he's probably going to end up playing down his money. Might be a good opportunity for Doug to kind of take some time, build up the ice, get some money, and then maybe push an early score. From his standpoint, he obviously doesn't know that Smoke has her breakers, so he may try for an early push, and it might go through.
Yeah, I guess Ben Musashi plus Kamainu can equal a scoring remote in a way that just the Kamainu can't, and that's kind of interesting.
I would imagine he's going to play conservative enough, though, that he won't completely set himself back. That's kind of the downside of where he's at with his hand. He can't punish with the snares if he goes broke, so HQ is wide open if he goes broke with the Kamainu. So he's going to have to take a minute, and against Shaper, taking a minute is not great.
Yeah, especially against Smoke, who can have a lot of late game inevitability. Looks like Kevin has a net shield, which is a spicy include.
Yeah, that's going to be better in the PU matchup. It may help here a little bit, but I probably wouldn't even install it, honestly.
Yeah. I suppose it's nice against Kakugo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's just sort of nice against the, like, I'm going to tax you cards with Obokata game.
Does that work? Because it still prevents it, right? Well, I mean, you
could
prevent
well, just in terms of, preventing the Kakugo net damage. Yeah, you certainly can't prevent the Obokata net damage if you want to take the card. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he installs it or keeps it as a thing to lose, because they're both pretty valid.
I think he's in a tough spot right now because of the draw and the low amount of money. I don't know what unless he intends on using the levy, I would get rid of that. If he knows he doesn't have Kakugo, then he should pitch the net shield. Yeah,
and of course he is on creation and control, so he probably has some way to get the levy back with same old thing.
Yeah. He might also have chip in for the net shield.
Yeah. Speak of the barrier is Kakugo. So.
Yeah, I think this looks good.
Yeah.
Given what he knows about what he's got to break, those two together are really good.
Yeah. Ooh, that Temujin's a fun include for a Smoke deck.
The one that won Chicago had that, and it's all the money you need. Really, it's just setup money, and then if you have to pound R&D, once you have your breakers online to keep the money flowing, it's good.
Yeah, this Smoke deck looks delightful to play.
I'm digging the Daredevil. It's really good, especially in a Glacier meta like Cash Refresh is probably going to end up being. I think it's strong.
Yeah,
and pricey, but
and specifically against the like Obokata Kakugo threat.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool card to have.
I like this push. It's interesting because Kevin tipped his hand in showing what breakers he has, which is fine, but he also went broke in the process. So it looks like a good scoring window, even though we know that the ice isn't necessarily going to stop him at this point.
Yeah, well, he does not have a Fractor yet. Is that correct? So that Kakugo will stop him.
Right.
Yeah. He's probably gonna, but he can at least check the server and draw 2 cards once he puts down the Daredevil. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I think I would take a couple off of the Temujin.
Yeah.
Since he's gonna have to score next turn, he's not gonna ice archives. So maybe take a couple off of that, put down the Daredevil and run, and just see where you can get if that totals enough money to break something. I think it does.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
The other option, of course, is to not score next turn and ice archives and shut down the Temujin. So.
Yeah, and I guess Kevin's making that decision a little easier by spending the whole turn taking money off it. So you're only denying him 8 credits by doing that.
I think the AgInfusion ability does add a little equity to it. If you do end up resing an ice there, you have somewhere to throw them.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about it is that he just drew the IPO. So if he scores out the Nisei, he's going to go below IPO range. So that's sort of an incentive to, do ice archives. And
I think what he did was correct there. You have time to score, probably, and you get the IPO off, which keeps your centrals short up. So I like it. It's good.
Yeah. And the Daredevil gives Kevin a nice consolation prize to running the server and finding out that he needs a fractor to get in, because he will get a free diesel off of it.
Right. Interesting that the ID ability kind of works against the console.
How do you mean? Oh, because
because if he pitches the ice, then there's only one ice on the remote server, and he has to then put another one there. And every time he puts one there, the console is going to trigger. So he either doesn't trigger the console, or he has 2 pieces of ice on the remote to use for the ID ability.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think one of the tough things is with Daredevil and playing around it is that usually if you're committing to only protecting your scoring remote with 1 ice, that's not really going to be taxing enough. And certainly with a smoke deck, that's a lot to ask to keep smoke out with only 1 ice.
Yeah, they're just going to run over it a bunch of times, and if your protection is bend, they'll just trash it and run again.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's interesting. They were talking about the data loop thing where the Daredevil will draw the 2 cards that you're going to put back on top of the deck, and that's a funny interaction that happened in one of my games testing with my PU deck.
Oh yeah, that is pretty funny. It's interesting in when you're playing data loop in Jinteki that you get to sort of, I mean, besides this Daredevil interaction, you get to sort of protect the cards you care the most about with data loop.
You mean as the runner, you can put back the cards that you
don't want to get net damaged. Yeah.
And that was part of why I put it in my PU deck, because I figured people would put down the cards that they wanted, and when they take a net damage, and then mills it. Yeah,
that's pretty funny. So here we see Kevin draw Interdiction, which is pretty cool because we saw Doug pre-res Ben Musashi earlier to play around that card that we know now that Kevin has. So good play.
They did say that they play together, so they do know what hot tech they're packing.
Yeah.
I think honestly, in this format, there's really no reason not to pre-res stuff because you're not going to have any surprises. There's not very many defensive upgrades.
Yeah.
This is an interesting choice.
That's bold.
Res, obviously. Oh, the 1 in 4 to survive. Nice. Yeah, that would be a good hit on a snare right now. There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
Game. If he gets the medium and the 2 makers, that's an awful lot of stuff lost.
Yeah. Ooh. So Smoke has a lot of money. Only has the 1 stealth credit at the moment. That's interesting. Oh, did you notice what he put in that server?
No, I didn't. I was actually reading something else.
Oh, exciting. So we are in the same boat as Kevin, not knowing what this mystery card is.
I think if you're in the runner's shoes at this point, I think you just contest the remote no matter what, because you get your draw. Yeah. And then you get to see what you're up against when you do actually have to score. So I think either way you're running it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can look at the construction of his deck, he's got 2 snares in the breach dome. If they know each other's decks well enough, it makes it harder to run because it's likely to be a trap, and you don't want to just go digging and run into a snare or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think given that he has the Daredevil, it seems decent to run. At the same time, given the agenda suites that the agenda suite AgInfusion is probably running, you're not especially bothered by an unadvanced card there. It could be Phylotic Entanglement, but that's probably it.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of like the old Wayland problem of why would I ever run anything that's not advanced until I'm on game point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think running it just to bounce off a piece of ice to get the Daredevil draw might be better. If he's worried about getting hit with a Kayashi, I think going down to 1 credit or whatever it would be for Internet Potato Doug to res it is well worth it. Honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So again, Kevin pokes into HQ and escapes unscathed.
Yeah.
That's
playing with
fun.
Fire there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Discarding Interdiction, interesting. I guess that's probably the only defensive upgrade he's going to have.
Yeah, and I guess he has the same old thing if Doug stops playing around it.
True.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think he's wise to not put down the cloak there because it lets him represent that he may not be able to defeat a stack of ice.
Ooh, that's a fun turn. So the mystery deepens as to what this card in this server is. Kevin still doesn't have a Fractor, so he is actually still locked out. And oh no, he does have a
It was in
Fractor.
hand.
What am
Yeah,
I
it was
talking
in
about?
hand.
Oh, okay.
I would have discarded that
exciting.
instead of the. I mean, you give him information by discarding it, but I think it's at this point, you can contest it without
certainly.
installing it on the same turn.
This is exciting.
Yeah, I think if it's an Obokata, which the stream could probably tell us if it is, this is a fine play.
Yeah. And we'll have to see what the other. And Smoke is certainly rich enough that it's going to be hard to tax enough money. But he. Ooh, that's fun. But he does have the ability to tax a bunch of cards, especially with the Nisei counter, especially with the AgInfusion ability.
Yeah. I think dumping him here with the AgInfusion ability is probably the best play, unless I mean he's got Levy with same old thing though. So you're not really going to tax out as far as cards overall, but it could open the window to score something here. Unless it's an Obokata. If it's an Obokata, you just let him in.
Well, he has the 2 counters on our friend Aaron Marone, so it's a little scary to let him in.
I think though if you pitch him off now, it's a score though, even with the Aaron counters.
Yeah. So he puts him into the most exciting server for him to go to into HQ. If he hits a snare, it's a really interesting choice whether he would fire it. I would think he wouldn't.
Yeah.
But he was lucky enough to hit the breach dome this time.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't have dumped him on HQ for fear that he would hit the snare. I want to have those in my hand protecting him, and I certainly couldn't trigger it because you have to score next turn.
Yeah. Absolutely. Though he's in now that the breach dome is in archives, he has a much nicer server to throw him into. Though of course he doesn't, as long as he can just jack out.
Right.
So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, then there's the interaction. I think it's Mind Game means you have to bottom deck a card to jack out after you fail it. So if he's got Mind Game in there, then you have a viable option of dumping him in archives without ice there.
Yeah, that's pretty fun stuff.
I think if you have Honor Prophet, you have Susanoo as well, if that's ever an option.
Yeah, do we actually know what Doug's big box is? I don't think we've seen any evidence of it being anything in particular.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So we haven't seen a GFI. We haven't seen a Future Perfect. We haven't seen a Phylotic Entanglement. Anything that might give us a clue. This is a pretty good thing to do because Doug is pretty low on credits, so he's not in a great position to defend R&D at the moment.
Yeah. And dumping the ice off of there is not great.
Yeah, and actually, if he gets multiple agendas here, he could actually get in with Aaron. But instead, he has encountered another breach dome.
I would guess based on his reaction, maybe there's an Obokata in there too. He hit the breach dome first and then said "ugh."
Yeah.
I put him at 3 cards.
I guess we'll see soon whether or not he's just disgusted by hitting a breach dome or is disgusted by hitting breach dome and then Obokata protocol, which would have been exceptionally funny.
Ooh, Fem. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a booth. That explains a little bit, I guess, where the influence is. So it wasn't Obokata. So he's pretty safe either way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It was interesting that with Daredevil and with Aaron, Kevin was close to being able to contest that. Certainly, I think there have been. Good. Oh yeah. That's extremely pricey, but Kevin Tame has quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I think he's pretty safe to spend that money at this point.
Yeah. This is a really good call going in and taking care of Ben Musashi before the next scoring window opens, because with that Nisei token and the 2 Kakugos, it's going to be hard to get to deal with another Obokata protocol if Ben's still on the case.
Yeah, even with the feedback filter at that point, it's still 6 damage that you have to get. So you have to pay through the breakers, the feedback filter, and then also draw up at the end with maybe Aaron or maybe pre-draw. It's not fun.
Yeah, and I think preemptively going and dealing with annoying sysops, not that Ben Musashi is a sysop, he's a clone, is a thing that I think in learning that I should do have gotten better against decks like AgInfusion that are going to be using defensive upgrades to make those scoring remotes scary.
Yeah, you don't want to have your work compressed into a turn where it's really inconvenient for you to deal with it when you get in. It's kind of like the old Caprice thing where you can make the corp spend money when they're not trying to score, which delays their scoring, which makes agendas pile up in HQ, which complicates problems for them. So contesting it in off turns is very smart if you can do it.
Yeah. That was quite a turn for Doug. Just getting some money and putting some more money cards back into the deck. This is an interesting position that we're in right now, because Kevin is in a very good position to contest any scoring remote that that Doug puts together. And Doug doesn't have a lot of money, but he does have an Issei token and he does have 5 points. So it's an interesting place in the game, I think.
Yeah, what's super interesting is if he can tax Kevin enough that the feedback filter becomes relevant, he can play Never Advance. Well, not anymore. He can't. I was gonna say with the Philotic, he can put snares in the remote until he burns himself out, and then throw the Philotic in the remote. But that's gonna be a big blow right there to the Never Advance.
A fun thing about seeing the Philotic is now we know what Internet Potato's big box is. It is Honor and Profit.
The Kamino as well.
Oh, of course, the Kamino. I guess we had already seen the Kamino.
I suppose.
Yeah. This means you can't really play Never Advance with that Maryland campaign.
Right.
Though you can still put it in the server and maybe it'll take it.
Yeah,
one of the things
that's going to be really good for him.
Yeah, one of the things I've found with these decks is that these money assets are, the runner's really loath to go deal with them when they're behind a data loop or a Kakugo and whatnot.
Yeah, really any ice. Back in the days when people weren't playing Wizard, you could theoretically make enough money to trash stuff and just make money because the corp wasn't really progressing their board. So a single piece of ice in front of basically anything was enough to deter even Wizard a long time ago.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that with the snares, assuming Doug is able to muster up enough money, he can put Kevin into a situation where he doesn't have enough cards to contest the remote, with a bunch of counters on Aaron that might be a little bit trickier to do. Ooh, and Kevin just drew his net merker, so taxing on credits is going to become a bit harder.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ice that Jinteki has is really not going to tax stealth too much, so just a couple of net merker credits is going to be fine for the entire game. So that's definitely going to help him out. To your point before, I think the getting him while he's got so few cards in his deck before levying is an opportunity to score, because then he can't draw up, obviously. So he has to time this where the runner's deck is going to be near empty to actually try to score an Obokata.
That's a good point. I suppose Kamainu is still somewhat taxing here, given that you need real money to break those.
Yeah, its interaction with Obokata is nice because the runner is always going to have paid at least 4 credits or lost some cards going in, no matter what, because obviously they have 4 in hand.
Yeah, and Kevin has quite a bit of money.
He still has access to the Temujin on Archives too.
Yeah, it's the Temujin on Archives is really interesting. It's interesting how well the Breach Domes are defending that, because he can go get some money, but he might be a little reluctant to do it.
Yeah, it's like at a cost for sure.
Yeah.
I think he wants to hold on to this fem to contest like a Komainu maybe. If he can muster the money, it's better to bypass it than it is to pay through it a bunch of times.
That's definitely true. Yeah. Ooh. So this is the interesting thing about trashing the Melange Mining Co. It allowed. Oh no, that's. I was about to say that it allowed Doug to draw an agenda, but actually, he had shuffled his deck prior to drawing because of the Maryland campaign, so that wasn't actually important. That's a really interesting interaction in terms of how Maryland campaign can theoretically help you deal with R&D lock.
Yeah, I noticed that when playing against Moon, sometimes the earlier versions had it, and a lot of it, I think, was because a lot of deep medium dives. If the runner they should trash it at some point and then contest R&D, so you kind of compress the work a little bit that way. At least I ran into that myself.
Yeah, I guess in this instance where Maryland campaign's just steadily ticking down, it's just a nice bonus more than a thing you can rely on. But it was interesting there. And certainly the fact that Doug was able to squeak what could be the winning agenda into his hand without Kevin, who has pretty good pressure on R&D right now, is a big deal.
Yeah, I think drawing the Obokata right now is extremely good. It's like his best chance of winning because, again, the runner is at the end of their deck. They have enough money to get in no matter what they do. So you have to catch him in that point where, and he may be able to hold on to 5 cards to do it. Because obviously the Kukugos are blanked by a feedback filter, more or less. So this is his window, if any. He needs. So
this is a kind of funny. This is a kind of funny interaction we're seeing right now, where Daredevil is actually making this run 2 credits more expensive.
Yeah. Again, that's why he needs the fem.
Yeah. And I suppose it's possible he's saving the fem for data loop. I think, and he's seen the data loop, so how exciting.
Fire 2, interesting. Doesn't care about that one. Doesn't care about that one. That's about as good as that could have turned out.
Yeah.
If you had titanium ribs installed, those were the cards you would pitch.
And if he had titanium ribs installed, we'd be in the same bind I was in last time, where we saw an illegal play and not knowing what to do about it. What a beautiful server Doug has as a scoring remote. It's not quite enough to score out at the moment, I don't think, but it's really quite beautiful. Data loop, Kakugo.
It's pricey. But if he can get enough money to go back-to-back Obokatas before the runner can levy, that's a really good shot to win.
Yeah.
My PU deck builds remotes like this, where all you do is try to get Kukugos on the remote, and then whatever else. I have the synth DNAs in there to do damage on the way in. I'd be interested to see if Doug's got those in his deck, because that's 2 cards per Kukugo is just spicy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool tech in terms of the. I might borrow that for my MedTech deck.
Yeah, then you're texting the runner on money, cards, and time. So he's going for the push here. I think that's smart.
That's cool. And Kevin has the fem, which is exciting. Though if he installs the fem and then runs, Doug can use the backup plan of using the AgInfusion ability to just send him elsewhere.
Yeah, I think the work may be compressed here just enough that, unless he plays it right, I'm trying to think through the outcomes here. He may be able to stop.
Yeah. So I think he can get in because he has the 2 errands.
He has feedback filter too. That negates a lot.
Yeah, he has feedback filter, which is pretty helpful. And actually, he doesn't need the errand tokens because he has Daredevil.
True. Yep.
It's there. So Kevin actually has a lot of different options here. He can same old thing for Levy, which gives him the ability to run, draw 2 cards, and still have the Aaron counters available. He can run in, planning on using the feedback filter and the cards in hand and the air encounters and the or not the air encounters, the Daredevil cards that he'll draw as enough to get through the server and take what is probably an Obokata protocol to his knowledge. He can, I guess, he can fem what he might have guessed is a data loop.
Yeah,
So
I think
there's
the
a lot.
line, if he doesn't fem it and decide, and it is a data loop, he can still draw back one of the cards he needs and then use feedback filter on the Kakugos and just go through with 4 cards.
Yeah.
What I'd be afraid of in that situation is the back-to-back Obokatas, if I were him.
Yeah.
And then if you just fem the face down ice, then they'll just use it for the AgInfusion ability, and then you're screwed from that front. So I think his play is correct here to run, take the 2 cards unless there's something you don't want to lose, and have your levy available to you on the next turn. If you score here, and then you can levy and be back at 5 cards no matter what you end up at, which means that you can then score another Obokata back to back.
Yeah.
Because it's like a levy is basically a draw 5 at that point.
Yeah. Now he only has one other Obokata in the deck, so so he would have to find it. I don't know if he's playing fast track or anything like that to help him find it in the 26 cards left in R&D.
That wouldn't be fast enough because the runner can then levy.
Oh,
he has
of
to be
course,
able to
of
install
course.
advance. He'd have to top deck it basically.
Yeah, that's a good
If
point.
you're the runner, obviously you don't know whether or not the corp has them back to back. So I would just be worried about that myself, trying to think, why is he just jamming an agenda that he can probably steal?
Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be interesting to see if Kevin goes poking around in HQ if he has a spare click. That's probably not as good as spending the click to prepare himself for the next run, if that's an option.
Yeah, I think there's a little value in running HQ because, again, you know when you have to run the remote because of the agenda spread and you have the philotic. So it would be best to just go ahead and levy after this and go from there, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah. So it's interesting. One thing that I'm not sure about is what access Internet Potato has to scoring besides going in a putting his agendas in a scoring remote and advancing them. It's possible he's playing Shipment from Tenon.
I was going to say that's really the only best advance.
Yeah, his agenda complement doesn't lend itself to that. We've seen a decent amount. We've seen some influence. Possible that he is playing Biotic Labor, but again, the agendas don't really lend themselves to that kind of backup plan.
Yeah, and that spread is extremely expensive because you need all the advancements and all the money. And it looks like, especially at 4 credits, if I'm the runner here, I'm not worried about fast advance under any circumstances. Just keep running, especially Shipment from Tenon, which is easily just poke HQ a couple of times.
Yeah, good point. So now Doug has the option to expend the Nisei counter, which is kind of appealing.
I think it is. I think, well, he's definitely going to tax him if he wants to run again. He has to run again. So yeah, I would definitely use it, I think.
Yeah. So he just has to think whether. Yeah. So he has to think. He doesn't know everything Kevin can do, but we can see right in front of him a lot of his options, and he needs to decide whether this is a lost cause and he should just let him have the Obokata, or the Nisei. Oh no, gotcha. Yeah, the other way around. Or whether Doug can just let him have the Obokata, or he can use this Nisei to that is why Doug is taking time to think, and I don't know whether he can. It seems
I think, I don't know if you're going to get a better window than this one, but you have no follow-up plan is the problem. If you had another agenda in hand to push the action, then certainly you're going to use the Nisei token and make him run again.
Yeah.
Now you don't know what the runner's going to do to exhaust themselves later because it may be nothing. He may just have all the tempo that he needs to win through the rest of the game. So that said, I think using the Nisei counter has to be right. Maybe you top deck another agenda and win.
Yeah. Now he has. So the question is, does he have the money to use feedback filter to prevent enough net damage that he can still take the Obokata protocol and still have the money to break Data Loop, Kakugo, and Kakugo?
I think his line is click for 2 credits and run again. If my really quick mental math is right, he needs 11 credits to get in, preventing the damage.
Well, he does also have 3 credits on Netmarker, and those can be used for anything.
That's true.
So that's kind of interesting.
Got enough then.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it's it's kind of a question mark whether to use that Nisei token. But it's interesting.
I'm fairly certain that it's correct because, like I said, he's got the tempo to run the rest of the game, and top decking an agenda, he's going to expend himself here scoring this. So your chance is basically find an agenda now or lose.
That's a good point. And I suppose if he had fast track, he could find a 4-2. So that might even be another out.
Yeah, Laura in the chat brings up another point that he can't levy now if he makes this run and steals it. So it sets the levy back an entire another turn.
That's a good point. Yeah. So so that's pretty exciting. And he had he's going extremely low on credits.
Yeah. This is his whole tempo, so I like his chances. I like Doug's chances if he draws an agenda or if he can click draw, install and advance an agenda.
Yeah, these are some.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, these are some hard fought 3 points that Kevin is going to be getting here.
Yeah. I'm just not sure what you do as the corp if you don't Nisei there.
Yeah. All right, so that is quite a lot of taxing there.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and Kevin is going to be dripping in 4 credits at the beginning of his next turn, so he's not going to be totally. So I think Kevin is undoing using an Aaron Marone counter, which makes sense because those are worth quite a bit in terms of taking this.
Right. I think he definitely wants to draw because EMP is on the table right now. So he's going to want to get at least 1 card no matter what. I think card credit is probably the best line.
Yeah. I suppose if he's, or maybe even credit if he's planning on levying.
That's interesting. I would have just spent the clicks to draw because you can take the credits next turn before you levy. You can't be on 0 cards because EMP is in the core set. So he would die if he somehow managed to slot it.
So this is very exciting. Doug drew interesting. So he drew the Nisei Mark II. It looks like he installed it in the scoring remote, but he did not advance it. And he put a Maryland campaign in server 3.
That's got to be a misplay, right?
It's interesting. I wonder if he's waiting for him to levy, and then when he goes down even lower on money, he can.
He may not ever go lower on money, though.
Yeah.
I think pushing the tempo there was the only way to do it.
Yeah. So I guess at this point, Doug would. But that's not. Yeah. So that's going to be really interesting because he's going to get 2 credits. So he's actually going to have enough money to install a Temujin on server 3 and just put it for 2 clicks and then run right into server 1.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the runner can get so much tempo. I think even installing the Maryland campaign was not great because it gives him a server to temujin off of safely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I'll be curious to ask him in the post game why he didn't install advance there. Was it the second card he drew or what?
It was no, he had it. So he just drew Ben Musashi. So that's interesting. In terms of now being able to tax on both credits and cards. Suppose he also has now the fun liability of having to play around Beth Kilrain Chang, because giving the runner a click against AgInfusion is not the happiest thing to do.
Right, and the card isn't great either because your scoring plan is to have them not have 4 or 6 cards in their hand at the end of the mode.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because he's going to want to have a bunch of money if he wants to. Because it looks like he might be interested in putting another data loop on this scoring remote.
I think so. I think this invites a run. Yeah, even if you don't advance it, because I mean, you can't put 2 things on the server.
Yeah. So it looks like we're nearing what is going to be the end of the game. Whether who's going to win, we are going to find out. But last turn.
Yeah, I like Kevin's chances here. Honestly, if he just even takes money and runs, I think he's fine.
Yeah,
because you get the Blue Moose money, you've got the Netmarker money, you get the Beth money. Or I mean, even I guess a card prevents 3 cost on the Kukugo, right? Yeah. So a draw counts too.
Yeah, can't he just get in now? He could just draw a card and run. And that would be enough.
Unless he's baiting with an Obokata and like he's trying to get him to run.
Yeah, that's true.
Advance Obokata, but that's narrow. I wouldn't presume that's the case.
Actually, with the Netmarker, he could just go in, draw a card.
You can draw with that. Yeah.
Because then he'll have enough cards even without considering the feedback filter. He could just go in. I suppose Kevin could think about advanceable traps.
Yep. Aggressive Secretary would be really insane. I think that's course, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be good. I suppose the one problem with Aggressive Secretary is that the server is all barriers, and Paperclip is not the most impressive Aggressive Secretary hit. But
but smashing the 2 permanent breakers now that he's levied may be all the answers he has. I think we saw 2. We saw a Blackstone, so we can assume that there's 2 copies of each breaker. So yeah, Nagasak's not great.
So this is actually one of the things that's interesting in this game is that one of the scariest things in Cash Refresh is this Obokata card taxation. To me, there's a lot of scary things that Corpse can maybe do, and this is I think a good show of some of the options you have against that kind of strategy. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's what made a lot of people afraid, I think, about rotation was like Caprice Nisei leaving, and then a fully set up runner with money is unstoppable. And this kind of shows you that there's other ways to make it. You know, even Rumor Mill doesn't necessarily get you out of the situation. Like blanking Ben only saves you 2 cards. If you can't produce the credits and the cards to get in when it's just 4 cards, then you still have an effectively a Nisei.
Yeah, and certainly if this is the kind of counterplay to Obokata that you'd see on the top decks, that's pretty fun, because I think this has been a pretty dynamic game in terms of hunting for and trying to identify scoring windows. And especially when you're trying to think about scoring windows on 2 axes, both cards and credits, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's interesting that the Shaper has the options of Aaron and Netmarker to draw to alleviate that pressure, and it's still kind of been annoying for him to have to work out the solution to getting in. He just
So
zero
he just moneyed up, draws some card, moneyed up, and it's going on in, which should be enough.
I think that's game. Yeah, like I said, 11 credits gets in straight away, paying with the feedback filter.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But he has the money to do so, so that's pretty good.
I think he's preparing for the eventuality that maybe a double run Obokata, like just baiting the run to make you tax yourself and then go ahead and advance at the next turn.
Yeah.
It's smart to have that in mind. I think he's playing well around a potential problem.
Yeah. That's very smart. It's nice in this game that both players have taken their time in some of these tricky moments to think about it. It's impressive, I guess, to both of their abilities that they've been able to identify those moments where there's really a lot to think about.
I think we were very fortunate to get two people that normally play against each other, so they kind of know their player tendencies and their decks, and they said that they knew each other's decks. So you get to see a lot more than just level 1 thinking. You get to see interactive thinking, which is great.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have Doug and Kevin join us, and we're going to talk briefly about this game, and then we're going to jump into the second one.
Yo.
Hey,
that was a tense game.
That was a exciting game to watch. Yeah. And we're only halfway there. Interesting game. We had, I think, there was some interesting decisions where there was a lot of different lines of play that would have been valid. What was your? I would want to ask about one. What were your thought about either spending versus not spending the Nisei token?
Hello.
Yeah, I was hoping that since he was near the bottom of his deck, that I would be able to tax him enough on that run that he would be too broke. He would have to spend the next turn levying and then be too broke to recover, and I'd have a window at the start of his next run through the deck.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
But that didn't really happen. He bounced back really quickly from the levy, so I kind of ended up in a situation where I was like, he's going to get in there at some point.
And what was your thoughts? And so I guess with the Nisei putting in the scoring remote, you wanted to wait until you had some Ben Musashi backup?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I was going to drop it there, let him think it was a Ben Musashi, and then hopefully get a ship from Tenon and just never advance score it. But I think he's too smart for that.
Oh, cool.
He was going to check it as soon as he had the capacity to do so, and he did.
So you're right.
Yeah, and I suppose even
we were curious about that when we were speculating on why the agenda went in the remote.
Yeah, I've got 2 Shimmer from Tenon in there.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Which is that, I know that he does that trick, so I was going to keep running as much as I could.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kevin, you really have my number.
Yeah, I suppose even if you didn't check it, you would be, as Smoke, you'd be probably shutting down Shipment from Tenon pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have to admit, I knew Doug's deck pretty well, and I think you knew my runner as well.
I was pretty sure that you swapped in a feedback filter and Daredevil before we started, but other than that, it was about what I expected.
Yeah, I was actually in the shower, and I'm like, how can I deal with this data loop? I just couldn't deal with it.
It's hey, there's a card that lets me draw 2 cards.
I'm like,
Daredevil's a really cool counter to data loop. That's neat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
a little more expensive. I wish I didn't have to pitch my net shield early.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it, but there's other things in my hand. I was really torn that those first few turns of what to pitch.
Yeah, we were talking about pitching versus keeping the net shield, and I think we were thinking that it's certainly nice, but maybe pitching.
The problem I also run into is MU slots.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope I can just draw into feedback filter, and it's more expensive, but
yeah.
I know. I also know he's running a lot of cheap ice. That there's no Chiashis, I imagine. So.
Yeah, there's no Chiashis.
Yeah, that was exciting to
I should have put a Chiashi in there.
It was exciting to see you guys both have scoring windows that were made up of do you have enough cards, and scoring windows made up of do you have enough credits. And sort of asking both those questions with the same deck is pretty cool.
Yeah, Doug, what did you have in HQ a lot? Like, I didn't want to hit more.
Oh, so actually, you ran once, and I had a preemptive, 2 shocks, and a breach dome, and you hit preemptive. And then
you may want to go buy a lottery ticket because
I think that like later on you ran and you hit a DNA tracker, and I also had like 2 or 3 traps in hand. I was like, at some point he's going to hit one of these things, but then the domes took out 2 of your cloaks, so that's
my Netrunner career is just a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Anyways, should we do this next one?
Yeah, I got a game started up.
Cool.
Thanks for commenting.
Oh,
guys.
here it is.
Can't wait to hear it all. And I'll take my headphones off now.
Beep boop. Nice.
He says and then doesn't take them off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when you lose the first game, then you think like, what can I do to give me an extra advantage in the second game? And of course, the best thing is cheating.
Right.
Ooh, so it looks like Doug has a pretty spicy start with Magnum Opus and Blue Moose here. I would sure keep that. And on the other side,
how the deck progresses, that's going to be a good start.
Yeah. And Kevin has a pretty interesting start too in a moons and some things to install.
Yeah, I think this could be a quick start for him, which is good that he can protect the moon. It's a little pricey on the ice front, but I think this is okay. As long as he knows he's not on Siphon.
So Doug is lucky here to mill some of the junkiest cards he's put in his deck. What the heck is this?
Oh, but it's draw power. That's fair.
No, I love it. I love it. Oh, well, this is exciting. Here's a little medium dig.
I think this is fine on both parts. As the corp here in this situation, when a runner does this and they go really poor, especially if he knows he's on Magnum Opus, he knows there's a lot of recovery coming. So icing R&D and just letting yourself take some time is fine. So yeah, you give yourself a shot at getting a couple of points out of the gate, but you're kind of hamstringing yourself in the setup. And against moons, that's really rough because they're gonna outpace you if you don't keep up.
Yeah, that was an interesting play because I think he did get 2 points out of it, and I think just squeezing out the points against moons can be really nice. Though at the same time, he has some good setup cards in his hand. I suppose there's frantic coding. That's pretty exciting too.
This influence is spicy.
Look at this. Well, you gotta be playing Deuces Wild if you're playing these like weird knockoff Deuces Wild.
You want to have all the Deuces flavors.
Yeah. Ooh, Mining Accident. It's a shame we're not seeing that right now because that is a cool card.
I've been putting that into my Siphon Noise deck, and it having those extra credits around is nice, especially when you have to run in trash assets. Like it can make you better than Wizard if you have 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think contesting R&D is smart there. Because there's no Architect anymore, which is really what you're scared of, especially against a Moons deck. So eat it with your face, whatever it is. It can't be that bad. If you do it click 1, it can't be that bad.
Yeah. This is exciting with Kevin having he's pretty poor, but he does have some virtual money over here that's just getting higher. Yeah.
It makes it interesting when you go to run. You have to, the corp can have a lot of money or just let you in. It's not a big deal.
Oh, it's a shame to see this wanton in the trash. That would have been a pretty funny thing to witness.
That's interesting. I might even deja vu for it just to force an ice install there. Just
that's
kind
true.
Of muster for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also then do it later, which is fine too. You can just opus a bunch until you can wanton, which is really strong, especially against moons because they tend to get flooded. Especially in this format, you're going to get a lot of agendas in HQ as moons.
So Kevin fires off the Estelle Moon to draw quite a few cards. It doesn't look like he has what he would need to put together a fast advancing agenda, but he is able to put down this MCA austerity policy, which is really going to be a pain.
Yeah, that will be some fast advance at some point.
Yeah. And that's an extra pain when your economy is Magnum Opus, losing that click. Yeah, especially with Doug on 0 credits here.
Yeah, the good thing about Moons with all this drip economy is that the corpse clicks are less important if all you're trying to do is get money, because right now it's just draw the right cards, get in a position to score. So if he has to click that thing once a turn, that's, the drip economy stands in for a click that you would otherwise play for economy. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's
I
a
really
good
liked
point.
it.
Yeah, and right now Kevin is in a really nice economic situation because Doug really doesn't have the economic situation to deal with these.
Those are trickling down for sure.
Yeah, and especially when he needs to deal with MCA austerity policy, most likely. I suppose the worst thing that can happen from the MCA austerity policy firing off is that Kevin's going to score a bunch of points.
It also turns all of your face checks into being dangerous because you no longer can click through a Fairchild 3. So if the corp has sufficient money, you can no longer just be like, okay, I'm going to make you spend 6 credits if you want to stop me, that's really amazing. I didn't actually think of that.
Yeah, so this is a pretty fun. That was a pretty fun turn from Doug, where he stim hacked into R&D, saw 4 cards, and got a free paperclip.
That's solid. Yeah, he doesn't need the cards in his hand. He's probably happy to see him go to the heap for Blue Moose anyway.
Yeah, 0 card. Yeah, 0 credit, gain 9 is pretty welcome. It allowed him to trash some things he'd probably not see, especially the Sandberg. That seems nasty. Oh, yeah. Of course, one really interesting interaction in these HB decks, or I suppose any deck that is able to pay the whopping 2 influence for friends, or whopping 1 influence for friends in high places, is that sometimes when you're digging on with medium, you're kind of tutoring through their deck with this thing that was deep in R&D. I'm going to put it in archives where you can friends it right wherever you want it.
Yeah, my noise deck, when the Dan and I are playing, I kind of shied away from noise for a long time because you don't want to be milling cards as noise and feed them something that they're going to friends. So it's kind of a massive drawback that I was afraid of, but it's only mattered a couple of times. But yeah, if you're trashing stuff and they don't have friends targets, then you're giving them friends targets for value. It's not a great trade for you.
Yeah, I suppose the one nice thing about trashing the Sandberg is that Doug now knows that the Sandberg is there. He knows what server it's in, so he's not going to be surprised by it. He's not going to, play a knifed hoping to kill the Cedar adaptive barrier.
Yeah, unless we see Cipher, that card's actually very dangerous because he's very obviously going to have the economy advantage for the vast majority of the game. With no vamp and no siphon, it's going to be tough to keep the corp poor in this game.
Now, one card that is somewhere in this 42 card stack that I know Doug has is Maw, which with all these empty servers should be pretty spicy if he's able to get that going.
Yeah, I would say if you've got the Maw in your deck, contesting enough to keep the corp from scoring is going to be strong because there's going to be a lot of agendas in HQ. Like I said earlier, they're going to pile up. It just happens, especially in cash refresh. So getting a mill out of hand is amazing, and having the Wanton available to go with it is really, really good.
Yeah.
Of course, losing clicks to austerity hurts Wanton, but he can deal with that later.
Yeah. So I guess one interesting thing with MCA austerity policy is you gain 4 clicks from it. And when you get your power counter on MCA austerity policy, you have the option of either firing it right away, but at that point you're going to have, so at that point you'll have 5 clicks left, and that'll allow you to score a 4-2, or you can wait another turn to fire it off, and then you'll have 6 clicks, which will allow you to score a 5-3.
Right. And when you're rich, if you have the Bioroid work crew out, or and then you have to also have biotic or shipment, you can do it with even 1 less counter because it'll.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So we could actually a very, very few counters on austerity and score, which I think he may be doing here. I don't know if he made a successful run last turn. I think he did.
But it looks like he is going to
field test. What's happening?
Is he going to field test? That would be.
No, I think he put a food down. Yeah.
Because I suppose a really weird thing you could do is, and then maybe get enough money to score out another thing. No, he couldn't do that.
No, not yet.
have enough fast advanced tools to do that.
Yeah,
but
it is
that's a
interesting that
pretty
you could
good
get enough clicks to do that with biotic shipment and austerity. You could get enough to just score out.
Yeah, just all of a sudden be 7-point HB ETF.
Gross.
Yeah.
At least it's unique. We always have rumor mill, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to figure out how to play around this card, because while I don't know how to play around it, I'm sure I'm going to be very miserable.
Yeah, I think the only answer truly is contest. You have to keep it off the board if possible.
So one thing that Doug has as an out is just getting a bunch of cards off of R&D. We might be due for a purge. Certainly off of R&D and next turn 6 is not ideal, especially with Kevin in such a otherwise good situation.
Yeah, I think unless he draws an ice, he's gonna have to purge, and if he draws an ice and it's sufficient to stop him because he's so low on money, he can install that and progress through whatever his next phase of his plan is. But yeah, nothing says you're gonna have to answer me like a 6 counter medium for sure.
Yeah, and so that'll give Doug a little bit of recovery time, which is probably pretty welcome for him. Yeah, there's the purge.
Yeah, without the austerity dripping, having the ability to just take 8 is really great, especially as Max when your breakers are just finding their way to the bin anyway.
Yeah. So Max keeps digging. He hasn't found the maw yet, which is unfortunate, because I think that's gonna be very helpful in terms of knocking out these combo pieces from Kevin's hand. It'll be interesting to see what he does with this turn. Also, an interesting thing is whether or not Doug is aware of Kevin playing Shipment from Tenon, because I don't think I would suspect Shipment from Tenon out of an HB deck, but Doug and Kevin are metamates and might know about each other's lists. So Kevin could actually fast advance a successful field test for a lot of money. I don't know if that's actually good, but it is certainly something he could do.
I guess he's not staring on the 6 counter medium, I think it's worth scoring now.
Yeah, especially with the accelerated diagnostics. Or sorry, with the archive memories, it's a pretty decent thing to do. Probably will only install this backup Estelle Moon, which is a pretty, I guess, anemic use of Floyd's ability here.
Yeah.
Here's Ma, maybe a little bit too late to the party.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough money right now, especially when you can get the Tenon back, or he can even archive the MCA austerity and throw it in the remote if it's an ice that's that he doesn't have a breaker for. Putting the maw down is too much to do the maw and say the Black Orchestra to contest it.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Doug seems to have 12 credits. I guess getting a turn off to click Magnum Opus is kind of nice.
Yeah, and with the Blue Moose, definitely helps.
Yeah. So one interesting thing with this play is that Doug is going for the slightly more aggressive and more costly run on R&D, as opposed to just randomly running into server 2 to trigger Maw.
Right. I think he's getting a little equity in building the medium counters, which if he can force the Estelle trash afterwards, he gets fresh cards. But I think Kevin made a really good play playing the Estelle before the access. That way he's not seeing 2 new cards or whatever with the counter built.
Yeah. So an interesting thing that just happened here is that Doug stole or mawed away the global food. So he has now seen the top card of R&D, and Kevin doesn't have any agendas on the table or in hand. So and Doug is on 6 points, so he is in position to, despite Kevin's pretty nice board state, close things out if he can just find that one last agenda. Now Kevin has plenty of money, and Doug has not quite plenty of money, so we'll have to
but
see.
It's coming in fast for sure. I think the toll booth on RND is really good because that is really his lose condition right now. Not drawing the agenda. I think next turn it would be prudent for Kevin to pull into HQ some sort of fast advance method to score the final agenda.
Yeah.
I think austerity looks really good. I forget what the ice on server 1 is, but getting an austerity going would go a long way because he has to address the toll booth and that.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think the ice on server 1 is just another cedar adaptive barrier. I might be wrong about that. It looks like Kevin does have this nice bulky Fairchild 3.0.
I think that would be good on the remote. Interesting here. See, if he hadn't pulled back the fast advance, he could potentially have scored out this following.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
that's
it. My.
He's definitely going to check it.
Oh, he can go get it.
He is for sure going to check archives.
Oh, what a situation. I think Doug was just 2 for 2 on picking the one out of X agenda out of HQ with his maw. So Doug did not go into archives and snatch the win, but he did at least prevent Kevin from winning the game if he happens to draw another fast advance tool.
Right. Now, do you archive memorize the agenda back now? Because that's kind of scary.
Yeah. I feel like you sort of have to, right?
Yeah, you can't leave a game in the trash like that, especially because he's going to trigger Maw one more time this following turn, and he doesn't really have anything better to do but check archives. So maybe be like Opus, run one of the servers, and check archives. So I think you're vulnerable to losing right away. You have to archive memories it and probably protect HQ further. Yeah,
and that's a pretty unexciting thing to do, given that he's going to get another Maw hit. So that's an interesting thing to do because you sure don't want to, but yeah, you kind of can't just let him chill out with the agenda there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if his luck continues, he's going to get that card mod again and lose anyway. But you do have to play to your odds and not poor fate.
Yeah. So Doug has a whole slew of options with these 2 deja vus and a heap full of stuff. It'll be interesting to see what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think if I'm in issues, I like mawing here and then deja vuing for the wanton destruction and just get ready to do that.
I love that play. Yeah, I don't hate. I don't, even though Doug could have just waltzed into archives and taken the game, I don't think it was wrong not to.
He knows he has time.
Yeah, and also you're just going for, it's basically equivalent to a 1 of access on HQ, which is good, but not absolutely. So 1 and 4 to win the game here. Nice.
Regression to the mean.
Yeah.
It's not a bad hit though. If you're gonna get something, that's
you're at least making HQ smaller. Ooh, that's an interesting draw.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I would do server 1 and then nice HQ with the Fairchild.
Yeah, that seems great. Now I suppose he still has access to. Now I guess the one scary thing about that is that you might even want to draw a card. You don't want to have the winning agenda for the runner in your hand, for the runner and for the corp, and only have 2 cards in hand.
But he's going to have the Sandberg on HQ. Sandberg with the ice on HQ, so I think he's probably okay. Runner's not going to want to spend that kind of money. I would almost pre-res it, pretending to play around interdiction, but usually actually use it to dissuade the runner from even thinking about running, because you don't want them to feel committed to running and then just be like, okay, I'll pay because I'm already running. I would try to psychologically dissuade them from it.
So Kevin draws another card to decrease his agenda density in HQ, and it didn't quite work. So this is interesting. Yeah, pre-resing is an interesting thing to do here. I suppose none of the ice that Doug can currently run into is that spiky. So if he does run in and meets a Sandberg, he's not actually in that much trouble.
I don't know of any code gates that are that big of a problem for him. I mean, even eating a DNA tracker is really not too awful.
Yeah, he has not. He has a Black Orchestra and a MK Ultra in the trash. So, with some amount of money, he is able to deal with any one thing. Though, obviously, the Sandberg, which I believe Doug does not know about.
I don't think so.
Yeah. One interesting thing is that if Doug now pressures R&D, it does knock Kevin's money down a little bit. Ooh, what a spicy thing to do. That is cool.
Doesn't he? He's thinking he can click through a Fairchild because he has a Black Orchestra in the bin. I guess I missed that. So yeah, that's interesting. He definitely the Sandberg makes this really nice.
Does he have enough money for this? He can't, right?
Strength 8. That's I mean, to install it too. Nah, there's no way.
So he hasn't lost.
Oh, geez, he's at 9. Yeah, I don't think he can do it.
Yeah,
because he has 6 credits after the install. There's no way.
Yeah, it's strength 2. Right, he could have done it. He could have gone completely broke and done it. I think.
Strength 8.
Looks like he just mod away the winning agenda, and whoa, what a comeback win there for Doug. I thought he was toast. 63 card max. It is.
That's a thing, apparently.
It remains undefeated in the Cash Refresh League. Incredible. That was a cool game. Those 2 decks are quite.
Hello.
Hey, hello everybody. What a split.
Yeah, what a split. Good games, man.
Those were good games. Ma did it.
Congratulations on both of you no longer being undefeated in the Cash Refresh League.
You guys did it. Congratulations.
Yeah, really
the pressure is off.
You sniped that first Astro, or not Astro, accelerated ABT, and then and then I had to archive memories it back. I was
Doug, I think you were 3 out of 5 hitting agendas with Ma.
Nice. What a card.
Yeah, and I think 2 of those agendas were a 1 in 4 or 1 in 5.
Oh man, I'll take those odds.
It was nice. But also, yeah, I think I think you really showed off your deck can do. And Kevin, you certainly showed off some of the cool tricks that you can do.
I was kind of in a tough spot there because I had those 2 global foods in hand.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got to deal with this. I don't really want to waste my I think I'd waste a biotic on it to get it out that turn.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, MCA biotic, that was crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I need the biotic. I need the biotic in my hand for the other ABT, right? I had to pay for it. The game went way longer than I needed it to be.
Yeah. So I guess the weird thing about it is that with MCA austerity policy gives you you had 3 different options. You could fast advance the successful field test. You could use the biotic to fast advance the global food, or I guess you could wait a turn.
Yeah, and I needed to use that tenon because he was going to run every turn for the successful field test. So I needed.
Yeah. I was really. If I had seen Ma earlier, I would have been a lot happier. I mean, I did his job obviously, but yeah, being able to run. I knew that you were going to be running a lot of assets, and so that was really my hope for winning.
Yeah, and I needed. So I have 2 macrophages in here. I'm super annoyed. I didn't see them.
Yeah, you didn't see him until pretty late. Yeah. One interesting thing in this matchup was that there's always the early question about whether to install a medium into an open R&D and get a few accesses.
That was actually a nice click. I meant to install Magnum Opus, which I think would have been a better play. About that. Yeah.
I thought it was a bit of a questionable play. It's defensible, right? You get some points, whatever. But especially with Blue Moose and Magnum Opus in your hand, it was oh, okay. I guess you won't install those money cards until way later.
Yeah, I'd planned to do Magnum Opus and then gain credits and then install Blue Moose.
Yeah, sure. That's a great.
Would have been a really good start. But instead, I decided to cripple myself economically for a couple of turns. But I got some points out of it. So
Yeah, and I guess one interesting thing about it is that eventually you built up enough medium tokens that Kevin had to give you a turn off.
Yeah.
And that allowed you to bounce back economically. Though I guess you wouldn't have needed.
Yeah.
That turn had you installed the Magnum Opus and the Blue Moose earlier.
Yeah, plus I'd already lost like 1 turn's worth of clicks to MCA at that point. So.
Yeah, true. Oh, they weren't lost. Kevin took them.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that card is amazing.
MCA,
like,
what a card!
It's a really great card. Like
it is really
good.
It's oftentimes like it's funny. I was playing someone online, and I don't really tell people I'm playing my cash refresh deck. I just play it. And they were like, "This deck is broken," and I'm like, "This is like a CR deck. Like, I have no recursion except for archive memories. Like, I don't have any other way to shuffle agendas. Like, it's just go."
Yeah, I think my friend Laura was playing her sync deck. I think in the casual lobby, her sync cash refresh deck, which is actually not doing that well in the league. But
yeah, I played it against her today. Against it, yeah.
And she's a really good pilot too. So. Messed up. But anyway, like I think she had somebody like quit on her today, just like this deck is too oppressive. I had one person tell me that my deck was super unfun, my Harmony Medtech Obokata thing.
What?
Which I agree with. It is
Harmony
fun.
Medtech. It's fun. It's pure fun.
The funny thing about this, Doug, is I thought the games were going to go the opposite way. Like I thought you were going to have AgInfusion and.
Yeah, I did too.
And I felt like I was going to usually have this game.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I was thinking about ways to tech against your decks, and like really, like I was trying to fit in a rumor mill, but I'm like, man, I'm never gonna see that thing, or I'm gonna mill it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to put in a rip deal for recursion, but I was like, man, that's so expensive, and I'm just gonna mill him anyway. So mainly, I just put in the mining accident, which I didn't even see because I thought that would help deal with asset spam a little bit.
I think if I could have survived that last turn, I think I could have started getting away from you a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I assumed that you were like building up for biotic and then scoring at real soon.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see it, but it wasn't in my hand. But like, I think I would have started like that next turn, I would have started locking down some remote I was going to cover those pads or something just to keep them off.
Yeah. Good call.
And just start trying to keep money up and keep you out with Sandberg.
Yeah, pretty much the only tech that I put in was spooned because I was like, well, he's gonna have a bunch of Fairchilds and it's gonna be Sandberg.
So Fairchild is amazing with when you have that MCA. So basically, you put MCA inside the server, and then you put Fairchild, and then they run it. Well, actually, they don't actually run because they're like, oh, I'm gonna hit Fairchild.
Yeah.
It's really good.
spooned into Sandberg play was just such cool stuff because both of you were like, I know what you're on. You have a code gate there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at this. You didn't know about that. That was really.
I was like,
that was
12
really fun
credits exactly. No problem. We got this.
Yeah.
Sandberg. What a card.
Yeah.
It's really tough and like I find like Fast Advance and stuff like Sandberg really hard in cash refresh because like you can't afford rumor mill and then there's no clot, so like it's really like it's easy to get stuff like these decks are just hard to deal with.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, and I guess you are well situated. Like you have like good enough ice that you can like just put Sandberg behind one ice and
pretty much like I run all like ETR ice.
Yeah.
Except I mean I put in the macrophages in because I knew I was playing Doug and I knew he'd have medium. But mostly like it's like roto turret and stuff with that is gonna hard end the run. Because that's what I really want.
What was that on server one?
Another Satyr, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I was worried that you were gonna have arc lockdown, so I was holding some extra breakers in my hand.
I thought about putting that in, but I just thought like the way to win was just to go faster than you.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And I didn't have the slot. I just didn't want to cut anything.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, thanks.
So I guess you both are 7-1, right? So yeah. Thank you for letting us watch that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys' commentary. That was awesome. I'm looking forward to watching the recording and finding out, what boneheaded plays I made.
Yeah, hopefully the people we have in the chat here. Thank you for joining us. That's pretty rad. Thank you for this one. Little thumbs up. That's pretty great.
We got Laura and Yankee up in there. Nice.
Yeah, we have. Even if we don't have a lot of players, we have a very high collection of talent in the chat here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you guys commentating, and that was fun games, Doug.
Yeah, likewise. I hope to see you around. I'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Right. Yeah, good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Yeah,
everybody.
good luck, and I hope to spectate some Euro games soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
Great.
Good games.
All right. Bye.